Welcome to this special edition of the Public Works Podcast. I'm checking in with you with this intro from U.S. Capitol Building. This is the north lawn that comes away from the U.S. Capitol Building in downtown Washington, D.C. This is a special episode with Nicole Mi, who works at the Los Angeles County Department of Public Works. I've always been interested in this agency because it's the largest public works agency in the country that supports the largest county in the country with 11 million people. That's Los Angeles County. And we talked to Nicole not only because of her efforts in water quality and stormwater and other things she's doing as part of her efforts in the department, but also what she's doing outside of the department to help public service employees. And that is dealing with the investments of their retirement systems, something that folks might not think about until they get to that point. Well, she's working on that every day. And so that's interesting to blend that into her knowledge of the operations with her ability to assist with how investments are made for the future retirement allocations. So with that, I hope you'll enjoy this episode of the Public Works Podcast with our special guest, Nicole Mi. Thanks. Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Public Works Podcast. I'm here with a special guest, Nicole Mi. She's got a lot of things going on. We're going to dive into her efforts and her career a little bit. And thanks to you all for joining this episode today. Be sure to like and share and subscribe to the channel. That's how we promote what's happening in the public works industry. And we highlight public service professionals like Nicole. And Nicole, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. I have been a fan of you, watching all the reporting. Thank you for what you do too.
Thank you, Nicole. And because of your efforts in the industry, we have something to highlight. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's start your journey, how you got to this point, because you're doing a lot of things now, but nobody starts as an experienced, productive professional. So if we look back, can you walk us through your career journey and what drew you into engineering and public works in the first place?
Sure. I like to start from sharing my humble beginning as an immigrant. I came to this country when I was 19 years old as a young immigrant. I did not speak English. So I started my education from ESL class, like known as English as a second language class, and go to community college and then eventually transfer to UC Irvine to do my engineering school. So how I get in this field is because I didn't speak English. That's one reason. And I thought engineering is a field that maybe I don't have to talk so much. I don't have to write and read so much. It's technical, right? So, but of course, you and I both know it's not true. But there's plenty of communication required in this job, especially today, right? It's a very essential skill that you need to have in order to succeed in this industry. But that was not my initial thought. I thought I didn't have to. So the other reasons that like education from China, like I'm really good in STEM area, like math, physics, and engineering. All those classes come natural to me. And then when I was in the community college, every year they have one award to one student. It's called Outstanding Student in Physics. And then they collect all the students from all different community college, go to Caltech to do summer research. Like surprisingly, really humble, they gave me the award.
And that was an outstanding student in
physics, yeah. So with all the whole STEM department, professor select a person and nominate it. So they gave me the award. It's like, wow, are you sure I don't even speak English? And then, and with that, and then that helped me transfer to UC Irvine. When I choosing my major, I thought it's natural. STEM field is something I can be good at. And also I know civil engineering and then architect, structural engineering, how you see the part they play in our world, our society, right? And wherever you go, you see the infrastructure part of our life. I thought such a meaningful job, right? You got to build those out there and you can point it to see, I did that. So I thought it's a really cool job and to serve the society and public is a meaningful job. So I go into civil engineering because of that reason.
That is great. And we say STEM here, right? Science, technology, engineering, math. In China or internationally, does that translate? Is there something similar to that you recall where maybe young students would be funneled into a certain area? Is it similar?
In China, when I was there in high school, like high school 4 years, right? You naturally get separated in the beginning to two track. One is the STEM track. One is the political science, like similar equivalent English, but Chinese, that kind of subject. So two track, really opposite two paths that you need to choose one or the other from very early on. So I think that's why I got good at STEM in all the classes that going on that track in China in my high school.
Okay. So I see that's how you get separated into science, technology, engineering, math. And then when you come to the US, you proceed with that. And then you end up at UC Irvine, which has a good engineering program. And you do a great job there. And then you're out into the world. I want to understand how you got into public service, right? We're talking about this on the Public Works podcast. Did you go directly into the public sector, or did you have a few stops first?
So when I transferred to UC Irvine, I got really good mentors told me that I have been working to support myself through education. And she told me, don't get the job just to make the dollars hourly anymore. Go to the job that serves your career from right now. So that's when I see for internship the moment I joined UC Irvine. And then I got this internship in City of Irvine, a TMC Traffic Management Center. Later on, I got referred to Santa Ana City, the City TMC Traffic Management Center as an intern, engineering intern there. So that's how I started the public works service from a student intern and got to know about the job.
Okay. And then from there, you just kept moving, finish your degree, and then you're out in the world. So public works isn't always the most visible path, but what kept you growing and motivated to stay in that field? Because I don't know if it's your personality. You said you really enjoyed civil engineering. What kept you on that path in this category?
Yeah, I'm someone that always have really strong desire to learn and grow. As long as I keep learning and growing, I feel good about myself. So in the beginning of my career journey, I felt great to explore all different disciplines and practice in civil engineering. When I joined LA County Public Works, it's a big place, right? A department that practice every discipline engineering that you want to have experience in. So I really enjoy learning different discipline of practice in public works in LA County when I joined it. So the learning part motivated me a lot. I got to do outside traffic engineering that I did early on. I got to do highway design, guardrail, drainage design, stormwater capture and treatment, all those project design. Those are really exciting for me to learn those technical skills and work with a team, eventually see your project built on the ground. So that part early on, that's what motivated me. I love it. I love doing that part. And later on, as I grow in my career, I started to supervise people, I started to manage team, manage program, project, budget. And then I realized, wow, I have a responsibility on my shoulder that people rely on me now. I need to grow myself as a manager and leader, make sure I do a good job to provide environment for people to thrive in their job, right? Provide environment that people are happy to work in and can achieve their potential. Right. So I need to learn how to do that, how to help people go, motivate them and make them realize the big picture of what we do, the meaning in what we do, help them feel what I feel. That's when it motivated me to continue to grow in them. And that's when I decided to go to UC Anderson Business School. I'm thinking that's a place I can continue to have a structured environment to grow my management and leadership skills so I can be a better leader at work for my team. So that kept me motivating. Responsibility. I don't want to fail people that work in my team. So this is saying, right, people don't leave a job, they leave a manager, they leave a supervisor.
That's right.
I want to be that. So I want to create a good place for people. Yeah.
There's a lot there. So let's talk about that. LA County, Los Angeles County Public Works is one of the largest and most complex public works agencies in the country. My understanding is the biggest based on the number of employees there. And I know LA County is the largest county by population in the United States. So all of that plays into a large agency. So you talked about some of the operational things you were doing. You talked about some of the management things you were doing. Then you are getting additional education at UCLA. A lot happening there. But are there some things that stick out to you more than others about some key initiatives or projects you were involved in that you're especially proud of?
There's quite a lot of challenging programs, projects that I take on that affect me, my career journey. I think from the beginning, when I learned about technical design, civil design, is that I got the opportunity to learn from someone really experienced in guardrail in the mountain. Los Angeles County, we have a lot of mountains up there, Angels Forest Highway, and those windy road next to the cliff, we need to protect the drivers, right? I got to learn to do that. And then in one of the projects that I did later on, this crash happened. And I was sent back to do the repair job. And then when I was at that side, I see the guardrail was crushed, like destroyed, right? What it meant to be, the absorb the energy from the car, bring the car back to the road. And then when I visit it, I see the damage there. I see on the other side is the cliff side. The edge, I saw a license plate left there from the crash. And I
Wow.
pick it up as, wow, look at the team. So, wow, we saved someone's life. So that
Oh,
simple job, we saved someone's life. That's the moment to me that like it bring with me the whole journey, how important we do our job. So that's one moment. And later on, I joined my supervisor. She was one that creating this initiative about which program to educate students about STEM and civil engineering. So she was writing the memo to making the official program and department while I was supporting her to go out there, go to student events, talk about engineering. And then many other challenging programs that I got the chance to work with. And one of the large programs that I was managing for 2 years was a landscape maintenance district. It's 35 communities that was created when the community was developed, that they have special assessment to maintain the landscape. However, the problem is when they created, they didn't have the rate increase built in. So
right.
decades later, that fixed assessment won't be able to maintain in current cost anymore. It's a really challenging program with a lot of constituents, a lot of homeowners involved. So we're seeking for a solution, how we best manage that fixed budget to maximize the service that we can provide. Also find other solution, what a better way to maintain for the homeowner for the best interest. So that's the other really challenging program that I got to work on with the team for 2 years. And what else? The biggest project I did, I'm very proud of it because I was the lead civil engineer for that project. It's a stormwater capture and treatment project.
Okay.
And back then was a quite innovative project in the beginning. So we have a very talented team that you can think of. Every discipline of practice you can think of. We have soil engineer, geotechnical, we have structural engineer designing that concrete below grade under the park. We have electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, we have architect and landscape architect as well. So everyone working together trying to find a solution to capture the stormwater from the storm drain underground and divert it, treat it, pump it up to park irrigation to conserve water. Also, we have filtration to the well. We do a few well on the hillside. Extra water, we filtrate it to underground water. So the whole thing is ultimate operation based on the weather forecast, based on the water level measurement inside the storage tank, how much you want to keep based on the weather forecast, and how much you want to pump up to the groundwater. It's like a whole system was automated operation to maximize the water that we capture and use. So that was one of the projects that I love it. Also very challenging, but I love it so much. Feel great working with talented people and accomplish something together. Eventually saw it built.
That's great. My next question was going to be about what makes LA County Public Works unique compared to other agencies, but you mentioned two things there that I just want to dive into a little bit. Unique beyond that Nicole works there, but there are two things you mentioned on the landscape maintenance district and then on a stormwater initiative. And I know LA County is a bit unique in that element of those assessment districts and then also the Measure W. Can you just talk to our listeners a little bit about that? Because most of the public agencies I work with or that I talk with, revenue is a big issue, right? They have more maintenance needs than they have people and funding. So could you just identify real quick how that landscape maintenance district works, how that functions to bring in revenue for that operation?
Sure, I can talk more, but first I want to declare everything I talk about in this podcast does not represent Public Works, does not represent LACERA, which I'm sitting on the board for. It's my personal opinion and personal experience, all right?
Sure.
How we thinking to finding solution to that is that you have two ways to go. You need either increase the rate increase assessment to keep up with the cost for maintenance, and that would need to go through the voting process. And then a lot of homeowners, unfortunately, they're not willing to vote yes to increase assessment. Right. That's one track. And now you want to hear what people want and don't want. And then you want to have what are other alternatives they can do to maintain maybe with lower cost. So when you look at it and then you compare what's the other option when the community is built, the other option HOA, right? So developer can put in HOA, let HOA maintain it. But this community, when they create it, they let the government assessment take care of it, which comparing the cost of maintenance, probably government's maintenance probably is going to be more expensive because we have a lot of policy regulation we'll have to follow, how we pay prevailing wage, right? And then how in every county, especially, we cannot use pesticide to kill weed, right? You have to handful. So all those things making it more costly for a government agency to maintain them HOA. Right. So then we look into the option. Is it possible for the community to have the HOA to maintain with lower costs? So we provide those options, listen to the homeowner and then ask the input. Which way do you want to go? We're going to support you to get to where you want to go. Whatever they think is the best to help. One is provide maintenance and have a beautification in your community and lower the cost. right? That you don't have to have a lot increase. So that's how I see it, two ways to go about it. And the other way to go about is if you ever create a new assessment district, do make sure you have that annual increase built in so you don't get into this position. So decision need to be made for the best interest of people from the beginning, in my opinion. Only my opinion, personal opinion.
The reality is that there are plenty of homeowners associations that have responsibility for maintaining a lot of things, but they don't keep that up, or they don't have a reserve fund or whatever. And then they end up with this big cost. And so we might say, well, having the government do that's interesting, but at least it gets done and has some upkeep. But your point about making sure there's cost escalators or indexes in there to address inflation, things like that's important.
Yep.
The other one, before we move on from LA County, is this Measure W, right? The stormwater fee, which is unique. And our listeners know that stormwater is one of those categories and infrastructure category that doesn't usually have a direct revenue source. People think about transportation. You put gas in your car, you pay a gas tax that goes directly to the roads. Stormwater is not like that typically, except in LA County where the voters approved a Measure W. Would you mind speaking about that a little bit, because it is so unique and you maybe did a project that utilized some of those funds?
I wasn't involved when they created Measure W, but I can explain what kind of projects going into. For example, the project that my team was doing. Beside that project, there's many other projects I did with my supervisor in Marina Del Rey as well. That's where in the marina, the water, when there's lack of circulation, and it gets stagnant, it becomes smelly, it becomes a concern. So that's the area that we do a lot of projects to clean up the water and to treat it before it go to the ocean. So we need one initiative that we need to treat the water when it's first rain of the event. It's so dirty, the water from the ground, everything. You want to capture it, treat it so it doesn't go to the ocean. And the other initiative is that we want water conservation. We can treat it and capture it, reuse it, right? So that's what is going to go back to the community, preserving our environment and preserving water to supply to the community. So what they come from the community going to eventually go back to serve the community. So what the project is going to use the fund to do.
Yeah, it's just interesting. And as we wrap up LA County, I was just going to ask you what makes LA County Public Works unique compared to other agencies. You've already covered those two revenue initiatives. You've got mountains, you've got islands, you've got coastline, you've got these huge metropolitan areas. Anything else you want to add beyond that?
I think what made LA County unique from engineers' perspective, when you want to grow and learn a lot of skills, I think it's a perfect place. Like I mentioned earlier, you can find any discipline and practice you want to have experience, gain experience in, including grant application. That's what makes LA County unique. It's so large. We have so much experience and knowledge there that you can learn. I take pride in that. We have the expertise to do that. So come to us.
So you have a wide variety of things you can work on that makes it unique. And that's very interesting. So I invite our listeners to go check out LA County Public Works and what all those teams are doing and all the great things happening there. But also unique, Nicole, is what you do in addition to your what I would call your day job at LA County, and that is working with Los Angeles County Employees Retirement Association. We're going to use the term LACERA here today. Can you tell us about that? How did you get involved in that thing? Every public employee pretty much has a retirement set up for them, but they might not understand how that happens. It's such a critical piece of the compensation. Just dive into that a little bit. How did you get involved in that, in addition to everything you do during the day?
Yeah, it's by accident. Before business school, I didn't know what LACERA is for. I thought, okay, retirement association must be a place that retirees hang out. So not much to do with me. So I did not know much about it. But I know I have a pension, but I never pay attention to it. I think pension is something that's guaranteed to be there. That's why they don't pay attention, which is wrong. I'm going to get into it later. So I did not know about LACERA until I go to business school. That's when I took a lot of different class in business, in investment, in finance, in corporate governance. Corporate governance about corporate board governance, how to be an effective board to represent your shareholders' interests, to oversee the management team to make sure they run the business well, to create interest for a return for the shareholder. If you buy a stock share, you're a shareholder, right? So that's how corporate corporate governance work in the corporate boards. And I learned about all the structure, all those things in the business side of it. And then I look at my organization. What boards do we have that I could help apply my skills, what I learned from business school to serve people, to protect shareholders' interests. And then I found this pension fund investment board. It's like, wow, pension fund investment board, business school, corporate governance, they're tied together.
Yeah.
So it's this funny story. I did not know anything about it. So I looked at who's sitting on the investment board at the moment. And then I found this gentleman being the chair at the moment. His name is Herman San Thomas. So he became my mentor later. He's been serving on the board for 20 years. He's a public defender in LA County. So he explained the whole thing to me without knowing who I am, like a cold call on LinkedIn. So that's the thing I would encourage young engineers to explore. Talk to people, connect with people on LinkedIn. I reach out to him like a simple message that, hey, Herman, I'm really curious about what you do on the board. I'm a UCLA business school student, work for LA County Public Works as an engineer. He got excited because he was looking for someone that he can help to uplift, to train, to grow, to become someone he can trust to take the seat when he retired. And he was planning retirement at the time. So he couldn't find anyone for 2 years until I knocked at his door. And he said, he checked every box that I was looking for. First, we don't have a lot of women on the board. We want to adjust the equity gap. I want to look for women to fill some seats. So he said, you're women and you're people of color. We also want to adjust that too. And you're business school educated and you're engineer, you're good with numbers. And he said, you're immigrant, you must be hardworking. So I went to check boxes. So here's the journey. This is what we do. He explained to me, and then I wasn't sure at that time. I said, that sounds wonderful. What a meaningful job. But I say, I have student loans I need to pay for business school. It's really expensive. Should I go outside to get a job to pay my student loan? And not until he explained to me, I get more and more in-depth understanding of the work. And then I realized that's not something that money can measure. The meaning of the work, the impact of the work that you do is not something that you will measure with money. In comparison with my exactly MBA classmate, they do make a lot more money than I do, right? But look at the meaning, the impact to people, I don't think they can measure or compare with this job. So we have 200,000 members, including retired and active employee. And people are working their whole life in the county, counting on this money when they retire. We don't pay for Social Security. This is the only thing they're paying into. When they get hired by the LA County, it's a promise the employer made. But this got to be the organization that do the work to keep that promise, have the capability to realize that promise. And how we're going to go about doing it, that's LACERA. We invest money in the market, we earn money, we pay the retiree, a big portion of it, more than people know. In the general public, people think, oh, pension fund is just like taxpayers' money. That's a misconception. In LACERA, for example, for the money that we pay for retiree, every dollar we pay out to retiree today, 68 cents come from investment earning. A big chunk of it, small part of it come from employee and employer contribution. So we're securing this promise that the employer made by doing responsible and successful investment to generate the return, to secure that pension for them. We are, as engineer, we probably, among the county employee, probably make pretty okay salary, decent, right? But think about our co-workers, the maintenance workers, think about many other different titles in other departments. When they get a salary, they can enough to pay the bill to support their family today. They have nothing left to save, to invest on their own. So this is all they got, right? So that's why it's so critical, so important, making sure we have the ability to pay generation after generation for workers to retire. So I probably got too excited. So that's how I got into it. I met my mentor. So he showed me the path, how to join the board. I said, I'm convinced I'm going to go for the election. He introduced me to the union. They endorsed me and then showed me how to go about the election, that there are about 90,000 people vote. All the active employees, the general members, can vote for me. The boards have multiple seats, 9 seats. And then 2 seats representing an active employee. So similar to the corporate boards I talked about earlier, the board trustee on this board is representing all the members, protect the interests, to provide oversight to that organization to make sure we are delivering. That's what the board is for. That's how I got on the board through an election by all the county employee vote. It's 3 years ago. And this year I'm up for re-election again.
All right. Well, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I was going to ask you what people might not know about the system. And I think that 68% comes from basically the interest earnings of the fund. I'm guessing most people don't know that.
They also don't know when you join the account, it's a big promise to make, say that you're going to contribute this percentage of your paycheck. You're going to get a good part of your salary for the rest of your life, for as long as you live. That's a big promise, right? So in the overall average of public pension fund in the US, that's about, it depends on your salary, but the average people contribute for their whole career, like 35,000. And when they retire to withdraw about 750,000 for the rest of life, however long. That's the average number. Nothing you can do in your personal investment can achieve that. So that's something people also don't know. And that's a big promise that we're working really hard. It sounds like too good to be true, but we're working really hard in investment earning to make sure we're realizing that. Yeah.
Sure. And it's a structured approach, right? So the employees, they just get into the system and they contribute, and it's already done for them before they get their check. And that makes it good because it's just built in, instead of, oh, I get the money and then I have to go figure out a way to invest it. And maybe I don't do that. Maybe I go shopping instead, something like that.
Yeah.
But what are you seeing as some key challenges or opportunities in public retirement systems today? We have a lot of factors affecting the stock market and other investments internationally and nationally. What are you seeing from your
how I see that people always maybe have seen news right here and there that some pension fund might not be in a good place. So that's a challenge that you want to make sure you hire a really talented team, that you have set up investment policy as a guardrail to go about how we invest to preserve our capital, to protect it, to manage the risk, not to ever get to that point that you make the kind of unrecoverable mistake. Then you put people's benefit at the risk. For example, 2008, the recession, some pension funds have to draw down 50%. That's very scary. You don't want to ever get to that point. So the economic environment is changing a lot. Like in the past 6 years or 5 years since COVID, right? And a lot of things that we never anticipated happen. How do you navigate through this changing environment in geopolitics, in economics here in the world, right? And then all those things to make sure your pension fund is safe and it's properly invested, not get into the situation that some have got into. That's very critical. The challenge is up to the board to have effective governance and effective board oversight. They have policy structure to set in place how we go about the investment, the procedure, and hire a really talented team, a mission-driven team, not to come here like this is a Wall Street job that make a tons of money, take a lot of risk, not that kind. And luckily in LACERA, we have an excellent, amazing team. Like from the moment I joined the board until now, I have seen we're doing an excellent job. Our investment teams are like one of the best team out there. I can always say, I wouldn't even believe it. It's so good. In a little bit more than 2 years, every year we'll pay about $4.8 billion to retiree. There's a lot of payment. After paying that, in a little bit more than 2 years, our total fund grow by $16 billion. So
16 billion, you're saying?
Billion, not million. Right?
Okay, got it.
Further secure the payment for future retiree. So that's how I see the challenge. You do need to have a team that know what they're doing in all time and be ready for this changing environment. And then the board need to have effective oversight, understanding what we're doing, ask the right question, the important question at a certain moments.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
I want to use this to have us talk about the workforce for a second. The promise of the public sector to try to maybe entice people or get people interested and why maybe to choose public service. Some of that is this public employee retirement system. But that only works if your agencies can be competitive with the private sector, maybe in some other areas, and if we have enough people to fill all those roles. So do you want to talk about that from your perspective? Obviously, you're watching employee careers and what's happening with that. You want to just talk about your perspective there and any other industry challenges you're seeing?
Sure. I do see for people coming to public works like you did, and I am in public service, right? It's a peace in mind that you come into the work to serve the public, knowing that you have your future taken care of for you for the retirement. It's a peace in mind. And then you find a peace in mind that even though you make a little bit less money than outside people, it's okay. And you love what you're doing. That's what will draw people to the public sector, I would see. So we need to maintain that incentive to bring people in. However, how I see that the 2013, there's a governor reform. Do you know about it? It's a reform on the pension fund. So the benefit got cut a little bit. I don't know the impact, but I'm sure there's some impact to it. So the pension fund is still great, but not as good as it used to be.
So in 2013, that's the PEP.
Pepper, the law come out.
And the reason I know about that
Yeah.
is when I came from Arizona to California, I came in 6 months after that went into place. So I have the worst retirement system of any of the employees that I worked for.
When I joined Public Works, I joined in July 2014, right at the month when they started the plan.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's still nothing the Social Security can match, right? But I still want to say it out loud. There's just think about it. It's an important factor to attract talents to the government sector. So you provide that good benefit for people to have peace of mind to focus on what they love to do, even though they don't do as much money as outside. I hope people are like seeing that and protecting that, keeping that, providing that, and understanding that pension fund is not from taxpayers. It's majority of it, if you properly manage, it's a vehicle that work that you can earn money from the market, provide that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're doing a great job there in making sure that is available for employees when they get to that phase of their lifespan or career. And that is an important thing to balance, because if you didn't have the retirement system, that would take away a key component of why somebody might choose public service. You want people to choose it for the reasons that I believe we think about: helping your community, making investments in the infrastructure that support how things operate, having a purpose beyond yourself. Government's trying to do for people what they can't do for themselves. And then you trade that off for maybe a private sector salary for this pension, the hope of the pension. So that's important.
The industry, I think we all know, has been a big challenge in workforce development. I see it from ACEC have a study that every year right now, compare the number of engineers retire with the number of engineer graduate, there's a gap 18,000 each year, right? Like 18,000 more people retire than the people that joining the workforce. So we're losing people every year. And when people join the workforce, they realize it's a challenging place that it takes a long time to become licensed. And then you don't necessarily make as much money as like investment finance, unfortunately. And then I did not know until I joined the business school executive MBA, then I compare my classmate and realize where I stand in my own, okay, it's a little bit embarrassing, but I still have the pride in what I do, love what I do. But that's a reality, right? It's a reality that we, as leadership, we have to see that. How do we attract people? Is there a way that we can create an environment better and empower engineers to have a healthy place to thrive, to be rewarded in a different way? A lot of time for engineers, they become technical and really good at what they does, but they might not have a little bit lack of communication skill. They're not being promoted. They're not having any opportunity of work mobility, right? But they are doing excellent job in what they do. But then that skill is not necessarily being compensated or rewarded or recognized. So you want to have a workplace environment that everyone's recognized in what they're good at and what they bring to the table, the value add. That's what I see the challenges. We need to think about how we create this work environment to attract more talents into the workforce and then retain them and provide them opportunities beyond just that one job, fixed income. And then sometimes in private, OT no pay. I work in private before. Think about it, how can we have different type of incentive to motivate people, right? To encourage them to do what they do. So that's the challenges. Workforce development, workforce shortage is the biggest challenge that we are facing in the past, like maybe 10 years now. We have been talking about it. Like I mentioned earlier, we have the outreach program. I talk to the student, bring them in. That's not enough. We haven't seen the result to be enough. So we're going to find more effective way to show people this is a good place to be in, good industry to be in. You can be good at something and make money. But then at the same time, the type of work that you do is serve people out there. It's meaningful, right? I think that's something that I would encourage every leadership in this industry to think about.
Yes, exactly. And I look forward to your single solution to solve that huge problem.
I do have a solution. We'll talk about it later in other future session.
Okay. You're doing a lot right now. You're balancing your technical work, you're being a leader, you're doing some professional development, obviously, you're working on retirement systems. How do you approach your personal investment across all those areas? That's a lot to cover in a day.
Well, first, I would look into my responsibility. I'm someone that like, I take a job, I would always, any job that I take on, I always give my 100%. That's who I am. So I look at the responsibility on my plate for the role that I'm taking on. I need to develop skills to do my very best in those jobs that I take on, responsibility. So where I have gap, for example, when I started the investment board, I have MBA education, but I never work in investment industry. It's a new language in investment finance. I need to learn really fast, really quickly, so they can understand, so they can ask the right question rather than rubber stamping. I look at responsibility and then grow what I need to grow in leadership position like the board and like manage my team. That's one thing. The other thing is the prioritization. You have all those responsibility, you want to prioritize. What's the first, what's the second, what can wait, what cannot wait. So you want to meet all the obligation in the right time and what is demanded of you. Learning how to manage and prioritize your work is really critical. I think everyone needs it today. Even the young engineer in my team, they don't supervise anyone, but they have different tasks. We don't tell them, oh, this is what you're going to do first and second. They need to figure out how to manage it and come to us and say, I'm going to work on this one first step, have a way to go about it, and then manage themselves. So that's what I do with my role as well, prioritize it, manage my tasks. And the other way to go about it is that I cannot do everything and I cannot be good at everything now. So what's the solution to that? Is to build a team. You have other people in your team have a supplemental skill set that you don't have. So,
Sure.
And then assess your team. If you assess your team, every player in the team have the strengths in where, weakness in where, and then we can help people grow in the area they want to grow too. So building the team for each mission, bring the right people on the bus. So that's really important. Supplement on what I cannot do. I can never learn how to do coding. So now I know AI can help you now. But the skills that I rather to have someone else do the part of the job, I'm doing what I'm good at, right? So we talk about business school, how to build a team. Building a team is have a complementary skill set of people. Yeah.
Right.
So that's how I go about it.
Good. Yeah. So priorities and getting people with good skill sets around you. That leads me to a question about skills. What do you think, Nicole, are the skills or mindsets that are most important now for the next generation of public works leaders?
I went to this NACD technology masterclass a month ago. NACD is National Association Corporate Director. I'm a certified director from them. So there's a room of leader from incorporation in the board leadership, executive leadership, CEO there. Everyone there talk about technology and agentic AI. And then I was so humble in that room when I see a room of people, corporate directors, average age is 62. They are older than me, but they're much more advanced in adopting AI tool than I am. Scary, right? I thought I'm pretty good. No, I still don't have a pay AI tool. I need to. My husband tell me pay for one. And so they're so advanced there. I want to share this story with young people. We have this misunderstanding. What do people used to say? Digital native, right? It's not the case anymore with AI. The access to AI is equal for anyone, any age. It's up to you, your personality, if you have the desire, the capability, want to learn, want to adopt. I think what's important for young engineers is that to develop your own judgment, your own skill in engineering, technical skills, everything like that, and adopting the AI tool. Learn to adopt the AI tool. Reimagine how you're going to go about doing your job. And then we can find different solution, innovative solution to do your job differently. However, as an engineer, the responsibility is still with us, right? You might use the AI tool to do work, but the responsibility is still with us. Our license stamp is on it. When something fails, AI is not going to take responsibility for you. So you still really need to have your judgment, have your understanding. That's what I think is important for young engineers. Building your skill set, understanding what you're really good at, and then learn about how to adapt and use that tool from AI. And then by the end of the day, understanding, take ownership of your responsibility. Always take ownership of your responsibility. Because for what we do for the public, we're responsible for the public safety. So never forget that. So that's why you need to know what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay, so AI creates a product, but the engineer is still responsible for that product at the end of the day. Nobody's suing AI if you use the product and you certified it or stamped it. Got it.
Yeah.
I heard a saying out of perspective, I don't know if you would agree with this or not, but it was something like AI is not going to take your job, but your job could be taken by somebody who understands how to use AI better than you do. I don't know if that resonates or not, but I remember hearing that and I just thought, okay, that means you got to be somewhat proficient in the tools of the day.
I hear that too. I hear that maybe a year ago, but now every day is different. Now it changes so fast. Every day is different now. I feel like you really need to catch up to experience it, expose it to know where the tool is at or what the capabilities. And also, I think who can come up with an AI solution better than the people that know how to do the job to begin with. I think that's the innovation coming from the people know the work and then adapt to AI to apply it, reimagine how the work being done. I don't see how AI would take job from people, but the saying is a degree of truth, take away from people don't adapt to AI. What I see is that everyone adopting the AI doesn't mean that some people lose job, but we're more productive overall. So the same workforce now, we can produce more. We can always produce more. And look at us today. We have the BIL grants. We need to do a lot more projects to rebuild our agent infrastructure. We're not there. We're not building enough. We talk about a shrinking workforce. So how do we enable the workforce to do more? And now we're in a golden era that we have something that we can adopt. Yeah, that's how
For
I
sure.
see it.
So you got that delta of 18,000 people every year you mentioned that's a negative into the workforce. So maybe AI just helps balance that out a little bit. That leads me into my last question, and that would be, what advice then would you give to younger engineers or professionals who want to make an impact in public works or in public service?
Reflecting on my own experience, I would say in the beginning, don't afraid to take on more work. Don't compare with other people to do less work. Say, he does less, I'm gonna do less. Don't be like that. Take on more tasks if you can. Take on challenging tasks if you can, and step out your comfort zone, do more. And because the more that you do, the more you're gonna grow. That skill set that you build in you, nobody can take away from you. That comfort that you build in you, nobody can take away from you. But you do nothing, you're not gonna learn anything, right? I advise to step up, and also say, when I was young, I always thought leadership is for people in leadership position, which now I know is not true. You don't have to be in a leadership position to be a leader. No. You can lead a group of people to accomplish something together. You can have influence on people around you without even realizing there's leadership there. And first of all, you can be leader for yourself. How are you going to lead yourself to grow, to achieve the best that you can achieve? I like this definition of success by the UCLA basketball coach, John Wooden. He has this perfect definition of success that I want to share. Success is a peace in mind in knowing you did everything you can to become the best that you're capable of becoming. That's my favorite. So I want all the young engineers to think about it. Did you do everything you can to become the best that you're capable of? Maybe you haven't reached that potential to maximize your potential yet. So be that leadership for yourself and think about where you want to be at 5 years, 6, 10 years from here, and lead yourself to there.
That's an interesting quote by John Wooden, because he's not talking about just the end result. Or what we think of success is where you end up. He's talking about putting in the effort every day to get there. That's interesting. That's great. Well, I know you're busy to do all this stuff you have going on, so I appreciate your time today. Anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to get into before we wrap it up?
What I wish the public to know more about what we do is that, think about it in everyday life, the fact that the general public never need to worry about the bridge collapse when they drive on one. They never need to think about where the toilet go when they flush the toilet, the sewage go. When they turn on the flushers in the morning, they can expect water to come. But they have in this normal life, day to day, they didn't have to think about, because of civil engineer did their job and did their job right every single day. I want people to think about it. We have this life because we did our right job. So don't wait until something failed to think about us. You have this life because there's thousands of civil engineers and workers did their job every single day to support the life that you have. If you meet a civil engineer, go say thank you. All right.
Your answer, to summarize, is think about all of the items you take for granted every day, the infrastructure you use, roads you drive on, the water you drink, all of that, and have some consideration or say thank you, as you said, to that public service professional that's making sure that it's in working condition. I think that's good. And then I was going to ask you about a book, but you would have said you want to see Managing for Media. By Shane Silsby. Yeah, that's the one on your bookshelf you use. I know.
Yes.
All right.
Great one.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. And I know you're going to work on systems, help the public, make sure people can retire, do all those things, and keep doing that. We appreciate your efforts in those fields. And thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I have a lot of fun talking to you. Yeah. Have a great one.
Thank you. And thanks to our listeners today for watching this episode of the Public Works Podcast. I've been your host, Shane Silsby, and this has been our guest, Nicole Mi. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Talk soon. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right. Here we are. Joseph here, Public Works Podcast.
Shane here as well.
All right, so you just watched some cool content. All we need from you is to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps us get the message out. It helps us propagate the gospel of public works. So if you have free time, which you probably have 2 or 3 seconds, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so more people can follow us.
That's right. All we're trying to do is highlight the public works industry.
That's it.
Make those professionals trying to improve your communities look good and raise awareness and credibility of public works.
Yes.
It's easy to do.
Once again, thanks for watching. If you have any content ideas, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments, and Shane or I will answer them within a week of you putting it in there, and we'll get you the answer that you need.
Thank you very much.